All right, we are going over our chapter 22.1 guided reading notes. You should have these filled out from yesterday, so we are just checking answers. Looking at the energy rules, the producer is C, an organism that can make its own food. Consumer is B, organism that obtains energy by feeding on other organisms. And then decomposer is A, it's an organism that breaks down waste and dead organisms. Then what type of organisms are producers? These would be your plants, algae, and some bacteria. They make their own food through photosynthesis, and they are considered autotrophs. Question 5, is the following sentence true or false? Energy enters all ecosystems as sunlight. If you read through the textbook section and looking for these answers, this is false. It enters most ecosystems as sunlight, not all. Then question 6, producers are the source of all the food in an ecosystem. This is true. Everything in some way eats a producer as food and then goes through the food chain. So the producers start it all. Then question 7, the two major groups of decomposers are bacteria and fungi. So they break down your dead organisms into smaller things. They get nutrients from that as well, and go from there. Then there are different types of consumers or organisms that eat other things to obtain energy. You have an herbivore, which only eats plants. You have a carnivore, which eats only animals or only meat. Then you have an omnivore, which eats both plants and animals, and humans are actually considered omnivores. And then you have scavengers, which eat dead organisms. Question 9 then, decomposers return raw materials to the environment. This is true. They're breaking down things and those nutrients, and those materials go back into the soil and the environment. Then looking at food chains and food webs, a series of events in which one organism eats another and obtains energy is actually called a food chain. And then when we look at our food chain, when you go through and you label this, you needed to click on it and click edit. Hopefully you did that. But the grass is considered the producer. The first level consumer is the mouse because that's the first thing that eats the grass. And then the second level consumer is the kestrel, which is a type of hawk or a bird, and that eats the mouse, which then eats the grass. Then question 12, the many overlapping food chains in an ecosystem make up what we call a food web. And then you're highlighting the letter that's true about a food web. C, second level consumers may be carnivores or omnivores. And then D, an organism may play more than one role in a food web. Then looking at energy pyramids show the amount of energy that moves from one feeding level to another in a food web. And then A and D are true about energy pyramids. The greatest amount of energy is available at the producer level. Again, that's that first level where everything is starting. And then most food webs have only 3 or 4 feeding levels, or it would be most, I guess you could say most energy pyramids as well. Then question 16, why are there usually few organisms at the top of a food web? Again, this should be like a food pyramid. There are few organisms at the top because it is a limited amount of energy available at that level of the food web. Where those organisms are, they're like your top consumers or your top predators, and they can eat on multiple different organisms in the lower levels. So once you are done with these guided reading notes, please make sure you turn them in, and then you are good to go.